In what is today downtown Austin, Texas, a brutal small-scale battle once unfolded between the Texas Rangers and a band of Comanche Warriors. Tonight, join History at the OK Corral as we examine this little-known story in The Austin Ambush. Fort Colorado, Texas, late March 1837. As a full moon illuminates the hill country and prairie lands around them, a small contingent of Texas Rangers while away the cool spring evening ensconced in conversation, card games, and the whine of a fiddle played by Ranger Noah Smithwick. The more senior veterans of this ad hoc frontier force regale their younger comrades with stories of past fights with the fearsome, venerable Comanche. The Rangers' very existence and their presence at this fort located in what is now southeast Austin is the product of Texas's ongoing fight against the ruling lords of the southern plains. The Comanche have spent the previous century clearing nearly the whole of Texas of any peoples who sought to oppose their claims to these lands. It had first been the Apache, then the Spanish, then the Mexicans, who had suffered the brunt of Comanche raiding and warfare. Innumerable times, in just the preceding few years, entire families had been laid waste to, the men killed outright or subjected to vicious torture killings, and the women and children taken prisoner and oftentimes either killed themselves or subjugated to a life of slavery. The Comanche, once a downtrodden people relegated to the hinterlands of the northern Rockies, had risen to prominence with the acquisition of the horse in the 17th century. Though many tribes had been the beneficiaries of the diaspora of horses onto the open plains following the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, it was the Comanche in particular who had taken to the animal with a seemingly intrinsic, inexplicable ease. Their penchant for horsemanship and their capabilities as a mounting and raiding warfare machine had rapidly become the stuff of gruesome folklore across all of Texas. And for generations now, military forces, including the likes of the Spanish and the Mexican army, had tried and failed to stem the tide of Comanche violence. The Texas Rangers had officially been formed in 1823 by Stephen F. Austin, the eventual namesake of the now capital city. He hoped that the quote-unquote ranging companies could provide both a territorial patrol and a sort of quick reaction force to respond to raiding in the area. In the ensuing 14 years, the Rangers have met with varying degrees of success and faced numerous setbacks and challenges in regards to both manning and arming their forces. At this point in 1837, just after the Texas Revolution, the entirety of the Texas frontier comprises the very bleeding edge of westward expansion. The pay for a prospective ranger is low, and the likelihood of a grisly demise at the hands of his enemy is comparatively high. They are armed with single-shot rifles and pistols, facing an enemy that is capable of unleashing several arrows a minute from a rapidly oncoming cavalry charge. Still, though they have at times seen casualty rates as high as 50%, the Rangers have proven thus far to be the only consistently, even marginally effective force fighting the Comanche. For their parts, these men inside Fort Colorado largely count themselves fortunate to have found such a vigorous, violent profession. However, on this night, most of them have resigned themselves to a restful, placid evening. But, just as some of the men are about to turn in for the night, one of the Rangers on guard duty spots the flickering light of a campfire a few miles west up the Colorado River, on a high knoll overlooking a popular crossing spot near today's Lamar Boulevard. This, to say the least, is an unusual sighting. In such hostile territory, travelers of any kind, be they native, Texan, American, or Mexican, generally avoided illuminating their positions with campfires, as doing so oftentimes invited an ambush from the dreaded Comanche. However, as the ranger studies the spectacle longer, he begins to see shadowy figures dancing back and forth in the flickering light. He reports his findings, and many among the men concur that the only party of warriors who would be so bold as to strike a campfire in the middle of Comanche territory would be the Comanche themselves. Even from afar, it is clear that this band of warriors is unconcerned with their own safety, believing themselves to be all but untouchable inside the confines of their rightful domain. Now, the conversation amongst the rangers shifts to whether or not an immediate attack should be made. The officer in charge, a veteran ranger by the name of Captain Andrews, confers with some of the other veterans, all of whom argue for advancing upon the Comanche immediately. Charged with the safety and well-being of his men, however, Captain Andrews is momentarily reluctant to order his men outside of the walls of the fort, considering the risk of a night movement and of a surprise attack on an enemy force of unknown strength. His veteran rangers, however, offer a simple and straightforward solution to this quandary by insisting that Captain Andrews needs only to ask for volunteers. Seeing this as a suitable compromise, Captain Andrews asks for volunteers and is roundly met with several rangers ready to depart at once. These men double-check their weapons, load themselves with as much lead shot and gunpowder as they can carry, and mount their trusted war horses before riding out of the gates and into the dark of the hill country night. Leading the volunteers is Second Lieutenant Wren, another veteran ranger. In total, there are 15 rangers now making their way through this precarious country under the cover of night. Adding to the ominous air of this occasion, storm clouds soon roll in, further darkening the night sky. As they near the site of the Comanche camp, Lieutenant Wren, Joe Weeks, and Noah Smithwick advance ahead of the rest of the ranger contingent to reconnoiter the area ahead. This task, simple enough on its face, becomes an hours-long endeavor that consumes the remainder of the night as the rangers literally inch forward on their bellies through the brush and tall grass towards the Comanche camp. Finally, as the sun begins to crest the eastern horizon, the rangers find themselves in plain view of the Comanche camp. However, their trajectory has placed them far closer to the Comanche's horse herd than they had initially planned. For a few tense moments, the rangers hold their collective breath, as it seems all but certain that the remuda of Comanche horses and mules will be spooked by their presence, inevitably alerting their owners. But miraculously, the animals continue grazing, seemingly unfazed by the rangers' presence. Scanning the campsite, the rangers are astonished to see sleeping Comanches strewn all about the ground, seemingly sleeping off a long night of revelry. Now, having remained undetected, and having avoided potential calamity with the horse herd, Wren, Weeks, and Smithwick make a much more hastened crawl backwards, rejoining their comrades and reporting their findings. Here, they hurriedly lay out their plan for attack. The rangers will divide their forces and sweep down upon the Comanche camp from two directions. Second Lieutenant Wren will lead the smaller contingent to the right of the cluster of cedar trees which holds the Comanche camp, while Noah Smithwick will lead the second, but larger contingent which will attack the Comanche camp head-on. With the morning sun now rapidly on the rise, the rangers hasten forth to make their attack. As the surrounding birds begin to chirp, Smithwick moves his men into position, and then notices that, in the dimly lit morning hue, Wren has taken his party past the intended target, having mistaken which cluster of cedar trees he is to attack. With no means to communicate with his commanding officer, Smithwick knows that the only course of action now is to carry forward with the assault. Moments after Smithwick realizes Wren's mistake, the first of the Comanche warriors begins to stir awake, only yards away from Smithwick and his men. Still in a haze, the warrior sleepily pulls himself into a sitting position and then begins to sing his personal song, a long-standing Comanche tradition, as a greeting to the morning sun. However, the man singing has alerted Wren to his mistake, realizing that he is attacking the wrong cluster of cedar trees, and he now leads his contingent hurriedly towards the sound of the singing Comanche. The Comanche warrior, now alerted by the sounds of Wren and his rangers running towards him through the brush, jumps to his feet and attempts to run back to his cohorts in the camp. He sprints forward, crying out to his comrades that an attack is underway. However, he has scarcely gone but a few yards when a ball from Ranger Joe Week's rifle tears into his back, sending him tumbling to the ground, dead. Now, the Comanche are fully alerted, and the camp springs to life, with warriors attempting to arm themselves while making a retreat to a nearby ravine. Wren and Smithwick's forces now make a charge on the Comanche camp from their planned sides, unleashing a volley into the scrambling warriors, hoping to kill any and all that they can. Most of the Comanche, however, are able to make their way to the nearby ravine. From here, they begin to mount a counterattack of their own, pouring in arrows and bullets amongst the rangers. A vicious battle ensues, with the rangers taking cover and making repeated charges upon the Comanche in the ravine. On one of these charges, a Comanche bullet strikes the young Private Philip Martin in the head, killing him instantly. The rangers, incensed at having incurred the loss of a much-liked young man, redouble their efforts to finish off the Comanche in the ravine. The fight continues on, but soon the Comanche are able to slip away from the ravine and disappear into the cedar breaks. They have left their horse herd and most of their belongings, most of which are plundered and claimed by the rangers as spoils of their efforts. A thorough post-action examination of the battlefield is also made, in an effort to discern the damage inflicted upon the Comanche. As far as either Wren or Smithwick can tell, the first Comanche warrior to awaken and be fired upon had surely died where he had fallen. In his recollection, Smithwick recalls specifically that, in his charge toward the camp, he had stepped over the body of the fallen warrior, lying lifeless on the ground. But after the battle, the warrior's body is nowhere to be found. The body of Philip Martin is lashed to his horse, and the party somberly make their way eastward, back down the Colorado River, and into the confines of Fort Colorado. Here, Philip Martin is laid to rest with honors, alongside the body of a private who had been killed months earlier by an accidental rifle discharge. The Rangers will go on to refine their techniques and tactics in combating the Comanche, and the Comanche, for decades to come, will assert their dominance over the whole of central and northern Texas via vicious warfare and raiding. In the annals of the history of the conflict between the Rangers and the Comanche, this conflict, however minor, is indicative of the all-too-common succession of events that would occur countless times across the Texas frontier. For their parts, many of the men serving at Fort Colorado will go on to fulfill and even extend their enlistments with the Rangers, continuing on to legendary careers on the violent expanses of the Texas frontier, as well as in the brutal fighting of the Mexican-American War. Noah Smithwick would go on to pen an autobiography that is regarded as one of the most comprehensive accounts of early Ranger life left by one of their own. It is replete with tales of conflict, camaraderie, violence, and vengeance, and is an invaluable resource for anyone interested in further reading on this fascinating, often overlooked era in history. But the many tales of Noah Smithwick, as well as his fellow Rangers, and the mighty, fearsome Comanche warriors with whom they fought, are, for tonight, other stories for other times. Thank you for joining us on this episode of History at the OK Corral. Be sure to click the like button, share this episode with a friend, and become a subscriber. Also, if you'd like to support our work and gain early access to episodes as well as ad-free viewing and all that good stuff, you can become a member of this channel by clicking on the subscribe button down below. Also, down below, you will find links to our TikTok, our Instagram, and our daily newsletter. Subscribe to any of them or all of them. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time on History at the OK Corral, home of history's greatest shootouts and showdowns.